Welcome to People in Profit, the business show with its roots in France and its eye on the world. I'm Kate Moody. Coming up, he's been on the move for a year now and shows no signs of slowing down. 12 months after his election, has Emmanuel Macron changed the French economy? Banding together to take on online competition, how supermarket chains across the globe are dealing with an evolving market. And from lamplighters to water carriers, we look at some of the jobs that technology is rendering obsolete. On May 7th, 2017, Emmanuel Macron won a sweeping victory against Marine Le Pen, becoming the youngest president in French history. The former banker turned politician had a new political party and a new vision for France. That included a more flexible, modern, and competitive economy with lower unemployment and more opportunities for entrepreneurs. So, 12 months in, what is the state of the Eurozone's second largest economy? Clément Bonnereau has been looking at the numbers.
1 year after taking office, French President Emmanuel Macron has ample reason to celebrate France's economic rebound. Unemployment has fallen to 8.6%, its lowest level since 2009. France has also brought back its public deficit below the 3% EU limit for the first time in over a decade, and now looks likely to exit Brussels' excessive deficit procedure. GDP growth, meanwhile, has slowed slightly in the first quarter of 2018, after expanding 0.7% in the last 3 months of 2017. However, the French government is still targeting 2% growth this year, the same pace as last year. Emmanuel Macron and his government clearly don't believe the old cliché that France is impossible to reform. The president has pushed through an unprecedented number of measures that many of his predecessors failed to deliver. They include an overhaul of France's labour laws, unemployment benefits and tax system. For the Macron administration, politics is all about efficiency.
A company that wants to grow puts customers at the heart of its business. We must draw inspiration from this and focus on how to better serve citizens.
Emmanuel Macron's reforming zeal shows no sign of waning. He's promised to push ahead with plans to overhaul France's railway operator SNCF and cut up to 120,000 public sector jobs over the next 5 years, this despite facing huge public opposition. With tens of thousands of people protesting across France, Macron faces his biggest test yet.
Now we're joined by economist Frédéric Farah, a lecturer at the Sorbonne, also the co-author of a book called A Worried Introduction to Macron Economics. Thanks so much for being with us today. The French economy is objectively in a stronger state than it was 1 year ago. How much credit can President Macron take for that?
It's quite difficult at the moment to say that Macron is at the origin of this situation, because, you know, all the reforms that Macron has organized and promoted at the moment are, if I can say so, too young, and it's too early to say. All the situation all over in Europe is in favor for his economic policy. So at the moment, it's strong and fragile, because if tomorrow there is an event in Europe, I don't know, problem on the stock markets or whatever, that can jeopardize his economic policy, the situation could be worse for him. But at the moment, it's very, very good for Macron. I'm not in favor of his politics, but I have to admit that at the moment, everything is in his favor.
Now, let's zero in on his reforms of France's labour law. It's something that's been talked about the world over. The ostensible goal is to make it easier for companies to hire and fire people. Do you think he's tackled the right problem areas?
We live, in a moment of transition. So it's not possible to keep the law of the past and to imagine the things as they were in the past. But we have to promote two things: flexibility for the firms and the companies. Another one, give real security for the laborers, for people, with securities on income and on rights they have. Because it's no problem to lose a job, if I can say so. The problem is to keep our rights and keep our income if we have to change our job. So that's the reason why it's preferable not only to give flexibility to the firms and security to the people.
Now, when Macron was economy minister under François Hollande, that government also tried to push through some labor reforms. How much of the job creation that we're seeing right now is actually due to his predecessor?
Really, it's difficult to say, because at the moment we don't have a real evaluation on the impact of such laws in the past. It's very, very difficult to say that we have maybe 2,000, 3,000, I don't know, jobs that they are linked to that kind of law. It's really, really difficult to say at the moment.
Now, the headline figures for unemployment are better than they were, but it's not necessarily translating into the pockets of the working and middle classes. What should President Macron be doing for them?
The problem is that you can have a job, but a bad job, if I can say so, with a bad wage, not very good job. You can have not a real career with that. So it's necessary to help people who have, the minimum wages. And first of all, and it's important that we have to act on the income tax or to help people have a better income. If you look at the rate of unemployment is lower at the moment. But the problem is that the quality of job is not very good for people.
Going ahead, the SNCF and the public sector are the next targets for reform. Do you see Macron succeeding there?
I think so. He's going to succeed because the trade unions are not very united. They are on strike at the moment. But I think so that Macron is going to hold firm and he's going to promote market competition, increase market competition in the railroad industry. But I'm not sure of the results at the end. But at the moment, he's very strong, Macron. And he's not afraid about the strikes or the trade union because they are not well united to face Macron.
Frédéric Farah, thanks so much for joining us on People and Profit.
Thanks a lot.
We move next to a merger that aims to bring lower prices to shoppers. Two of Britain's largest supermarket chains, Sainsburys and Asda, are joining forces. Analysts say they may need to slim down their collective business if competition regulators are to approve the €15 billion deal. But bosses insist they won't close stores or cut jobs and are aiming to improve customers' experience.
The nature of the UK market is incredibly competitive and customers have a huge amount of choice and they exercise that choice. And we believe by bringing these businesses together, we can lower prices and offer better ranges for our customers.
Well, across the globe, grocers are struggling to stay afloat against new competition, as Delano De Souza's been finding out.
Thanks, Kate. Well, let's begin in the United Kingdom, where this recent deal has taken place. Here's a look at how the market share in the industry is broken up. As you can see, Tesco has the top spot, followed by Sainsburys and Walmart's Asda. Their combined entity will have over 30% market share, kicking off Tesco from the top spot. Over in the United States, the picture is markedly different. The world's largest retailer, Walmart, unsurprisingly takes the top spot with a market share of around 14%. There are many more players on the playing field in the States. One name that may stand out is Amazon, which is starting to shake up the market with a delivery service called Amazon Fresh. The e-commerce giant also picked up Whole Foods last year, and it's an acquisition that made Amazon a real threat to traditional brick-and-mortar retailers. Here in France, they signed a distribution agreement with the Casino Group, which owns the grocery chain Monoprix. In India, Amazon has launched a version of its Amazon Fresh service called Pantry. They've also set up an Amazon Now 2-hour delivery in 4 cities. So why is Amazon considered such a threat to retailers? Well, if we take a look at projections for online grocery shopping down the line, growth rates are expected to rise substantially, rising to nearly 20% by 2025 in the United States and nearly doubling between now and then in the UK. Kate, back to you.
Donna, thanks so much for that update. Well, technology is changing not just the way we shop, but the way we live and work, often in a positive way. But some are feeling the pressure more than others. Francois Wibo takes a look at 3 professions that have almost entirely disappeared.
It might look like a scene out of a Charles Dickens novel, but Ian Bell is one of London's last remaining lamplighters. Each night, he climbs up on his ladder to check if the lamps work, and more importantly, to wind up the timers.
So there's 12 million tourists floating about the streets of London, and they're always keen when you see you up a ladder to want to talk to you and ask you what you're doing.
As technology continues to change the way we work, Ian's job is one of those that has now almost completely disappeared. But he's not alone. In Kenya's capital, developing infrastructure is also threatening Samson Muli's livelihood. Each day, he fills his jerry cans with water and hauls them off to clients all around the city.
This job has changed my life because my children are able to go to school and I'm able to afford to pay the school fees.
The arrival of piped water is hailed by most of his neighbors as a major sign of progress. But for this 42-year-old water carrier, it's bad for business. Over in Hong Kong, there's certainly no lack of running water or street lights. In fact, there might be a bit too many. Wu Chi-kai hand makes neon signs, one of the few craftsmen in an industry now dominated by mass-produced LEDs.
The part of my job that I find the most rewarding is when you take a straight piece of glass and are able to bend it into the shape you want, and you're able to light it up. I find it fun.
Despite a waning client base, Wu says there's been a revived interest and nostalgia for his lights, immortalized in the atmospheric movies of Wong Kar-wai.
That's all for this week. If you'd like to get in touch with your thoughts or questions on the show, you can find us on Facebook at France 24 Business, or you can tweet me at Kate A. Moody. Thanks for watching.
Sexual harassment, pay gaps, a lack of interesting female roles, and few chances for women behind the camera. The power imbalance in film is as old as the Hollywood Hills. Join us from Tinseltown as we speak to the people calling Time's Up.
Encore on France 24 and France24.com.